So starting our STEM challenge, this challenge goes with the story Where the Wild Things Are. And I hope you had a chance to read that story or listen to it. And it is such a wonderful story. It's one of my favorite stories, even from when I was a kid. I still love that story and how Max went to visit the wild things. Our STEM challenge today is to take that story, and we're actually going to create something for Max for when he is visiting the wild things. If you can remember in the story, he goes to visit them. He's there all night, and he needs maybe a shelter for him to be a little bit more protected. If we could improve his stay at that island, a shelter probably would have been helpful. So we got to think about going through the design process. Even though this plan and this challenge is an imaginary challenge, we can still use the design process to go through it and to solve it. So the first question is to ask questions about, well, how am I going to solve this? One question you might have is, what are my materials? Another question you might have is, what kind of weather or what kind of things do we need to protect Max from? So maybe you can think about that. Rain might be something he could be protected from. The wind, other wild things. Those are the things that I can think of, but I bet you can think of some others. Then we want to imagine. So it's hard to imagine what we might build if we don't know our supplies. So let's answer that question really quickly. Your supplies, I listed them also on the menu, but you will get you can use two types of stick type tools. So I just have these kind of long skewers. I have to be careful, they're a little pointy, but they will work great. I get two of them. So other stick type things that you might have if you don't have something like mine is sticks from your yard, or a straw, or toothpicks. So pick two stick-like items to use. In addition to that, you'll get two flat items. So that could be something like aluminum foil, paper, newspaper, magazine paper, cardboard, light cardboard, all kinds of things. So two flat materials and two stick-like materials. And you also, of course, may have a little bit of tape. In class we use masking tape a lot. I have this kind of tape here at home right now, so I'm going to use this. You may have a different type of tape, that's fine too. So we are going to imagine how we can use these materials. We can brainstorm different solutions. Your solution isn't necessarily going to look like my solution, or your brother's or your sister's, or anybody else that you might be doing this with. The next step would be to plan. So we are going to sketch out a plan, and I will walk us through that. Then we get to create and make our design, remembering that our design doesn't always look like our plan. It can definitely change from what we drew and what we imagined. When we start building it, things might change for us, and we have to adapt to that. The last thing is to test and improve. So we will go through that as well. As you're building this, thinking about your test is you may want to find a Max. This is something I had that I thought would work great for Max. He is about 2.5 inches tall. You probably don't want anything much taller than that. So you could use your own toy if you have something like this, a rock. You could even cut out a piece of paper and draw your Max. So if you do that, think about keeping your Max to about 2.5 inches, somewhere in that range. All right, let's get started with our steps. All right, so we already talked a little bit about how we can ask questions. We can think about imagining different ways to solve the problem. Now I'm going to pick one way and start to draw out my plan. So I know I have Max, and I know I have two stick type things, and I know I have two flat type materials. So I might think about making a base with my flat, more sturdy material. And then I know that a tent works pretty well when I'm out in the wild and want to have some protection. So I might use what I know about a tent, where I have my stick and my base is going to be the strongest paper. And for me, I have that aluminum foil, and I have two sticks, so maybe I would put two in there, or I could break one in half, and if I needed more supports. So there is my quick plan for now. So as I'm building, I'm just sort of exploring the materials that I have available to me. I'm taking my Max and I'm making sure I'm testing along the way to make sure that I've got him going to be able to fit inside. I'm gonna stop right here before I completely finish my design, because I wouldn't like to see what your designs look like. And I'm gonna keep building mine, and I can share mine later, but I don't wanna finish it completely right now, because I want you to be able to think about what your ideas would be. So just remember to be testing and improving your design along the way, and using the materials that you have to solve the problem for yourself. All right, look forward to seeing your designs.